European Green Transition, code EGP, listed on the AIM market back in April 2024 and continues to outperform its peer group since the IPO. The company is a developer of green economy assets in Europe and has been set up to capitalize on the opportunities created by the green energy transition and, of course, the EU Minerals Directive. Chief Executive Aiden Lavelle and Chief Financial Officer Jack Kelly join us once again. Gents, it's good to see you again.
Hi, Alan.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
We're very good, thanks. Very good indeed. So, to you first, Jack. In the interim results announcement, you stated the company has got a robust cash position of 4.9 million and that the company is looking to develop a profitable and sustainable business in the green economy. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I can, of course. So, yeah, correct. We reported that we had cash of 4.9 million pounds sterling on the 30th of June. And as we've outlined since listing in April, the key goal of this business is to develop a profitable, sustainable business where ultimately we create value for the shareholders. So as we outlined the IPO, we have a few exploration stage assets at the moment, but the key goal is to bring in revenue generating assets across the wider green economy. So we made a bit of progress on this. We've signed 2 option agreements on 2 near-term revenue-generating projects. That's a pretty attractive way for us to actually build these businesses out. While diligencing them, it's quite low cash commitment initially, as we can see how we actually build this business to scale and to start generating revenue in the near term. And I think I referenced the exploration stage assets we have just there. I think we want to be clear, and we've said it a number of times, that we're not a mining company. The plan is to monetize these assets through sale or partnership. Aiden and the team did a great job in really increasing the value of the Alstrom rare earth asset up in Sweden, and we're very excited by the results that are coming up before the end of the year on the work done there. And we think that they've created a lot of value, and we're talking to a number of ASX and TSX companies about potentially monetizing the asset with them, so we can then focus on the more revenue stage assets that we're looking at and we have under review.
Excellent. We'll come on to also in a minute, of course, and going to be asking Aiden to elaborate on that further for us. But Jack, it's been clear that European Green Transition wants to pivot to revenue stage assets. What other type of revenue generating assets are you looking to take in, and when do you think this might happen?
Yeah, so look, we're reviewing a number of assets at the moment, and we're all aware interest rates have risen significantly over the last number of years from a very low base, and which has created a huge level of distressed assets in the market. So, we're looking at a number of projects and assets and businesses that we can acquire for a fraction of the capital that's been previously invested, and they are either revenue stage at the moment or very near revenue stage and have a clear path to profitability and cash flow generation. So, as I said, the key objective really is to get control of these assets. We won't be taking minority equity positions in assets where we don't have control over the direction of the business. I think I've mentioned a few times, but revenue generation is key, and that road to profitability and cash flow generation. And also businesses, assets, projects that require low capex. So we don't want to be spending hundreds of millions developing something that has significant technological risk. And we want to focus on tried and tested models whereby the business is operating at the moment, and we think we can bring our skills to help scale the business and take it to the next level. So the areas we're really looking at are across the entire green economy. To be honest, we have a wide range of assets we're looking at, some in the solar, the wind space, and there's a number of very attractive assets we're looking at the moment that are in the support services to renewables businesses, where we think we can acquire them for a competitive rate and help them scale and ultimately re-rate at a higher level. So that's the focus at the moment, and we look forward to updating shareholders in the coming months.
Excellent. That's really interesting. Thanks for that. So, Aidan, to you now. Of course, you've been working at Ulstrom for the past year. European Green Transition have said they want to monetize Ulstrom in the near future. Firstly, how likely is this? And secondly, who are the potential partners that you're looking at?
Yeah, so our aim has been to monetize the exploration assets, as Jack mentioned. One of the key things that we needed to do that is to show that there is a lot more scale and potential upside at the Ulster Rare Earth project. And we've, with our initial drill program there in August, which was a very low cost 13-hole program, we've successfully expanded the scale of the mineralized system. So we've shown that beyond the original footprint of the resource, which is essentially just a couple of 100 meters, we now have a multi-kilometer scale rare earth system and several new targets. And we're eagerly anticipating those assay results from the drilling. And I believe those will show that the system is much bigger, and then that will appeal to the partners. So the people we're talking to, as Jack mentioned, some ASX and TSX listed explorers and development companies, some companies with rare earth assets, and another other obviously companies that are looking to get into the resource sector and build out assets and a company in that way. So I think it's quite likely we'll have a deal on Ulstrom, but we do need to get all our drill results back. Obviously, that's a key part of any technical due diligence for an acquirer. So we hope to make progress on that over the coming weeks and but before the end of the year.
Excellent news. That's good to know. So that's very near term. So Aidan, of course, up there in Sweden, the other exploration assets you have include the Pajala copper project, and of course in Germany you've got these Saxony assets too. Can we expect partnering deals on those projects as well?
Yeah, we've had some really strong interest in the copper project in North Sweden at Pajala. As you can imagine, the fundamentals for copper are very strong, so there has been some interest, and there has been a recent momentum in the price over the past few months as well, which has brought some attention to the project. It does have really good targets. It's in a really good jurisdiction and a good prospective area of North Sweden, close to the Conisavara iron ore Skarn district, which is an IOCG area as well. So for iron oxide, copper, and gold. So yeah, it's been undergoing some due diligence by other parties. Again, some TSX companies, some ASX companies, and we would be optimistic that we will be able to close the deal on that one as well. As for the Germany license, they are obviously at an earlier stage in the Marienberg and Eicht project in Saxony. So there has been some interest, especially with the recent uptick in the price of silver. Marienberg actually has some interesting silver grades, and it's largely underexplored in a very large license area of about 280 square kilometers. So, we are talking to people on that one, and we do hope to do a transaction on that project as well.
Excellent, excellent. Jack, back to you now. Of course, the carbon credit project that the company's working on, the Ultimate Carbon Credit Project, I personally found very interesting because we are working with a client in that field. So, firstly, how is the carbon credit project progressing there? It's of course no secret that the voluntary carbon credit market is still a challenging marketplace to be in. How do you think European green transition can actually address this challenge?
Yeah, I think Alan, firstly on the wider voluntary carbon credit market, you are correct in saying it has had a bad reputation in the last few years. There's been a lot of I guess greenwashing accusations and scandals, and the market probably hasn't developed as quickly as was initially anticipated. But we are still very confident that offsetting will be a critical tool used by corporates and other large companies to get to their net zero targets in the coming decade or so, because they just need to bridge that gap, and offsets can help them do that. Where we think EGT's project is very interesting is it's a nature based project. Which is hugely attractive. It's located in Ireland, and it's going to be verified by an Irish government backed organization. So that offers, a lot of benefits to ultimately the people who will be acquiring the credits. So there's a reduced risk of greenwashing. There's increased transparency and verifiability to the actual credits and the work that's being done. We are looking at, as part of our option agreement, we have 12 months to develop this business model, and we're working very hard with a number of the key stakeholders in the area. We're talking to a whole host of landowners close to our Alton project in Donegal in the northwest of Ireland. Some of them very significant landowners who are very keen to develop a long-term revenue stream for the land that they hold at the moment. So we're working with them. I think we've been very clear that scale is something that is very important for this project. And with 2 or 3 of the landowners we're talking to, we think we can get to that scale that makes this really economically attractive. I think, I've said it on a number of other interviews, but we want to be very clear that we're not buying the land here. And this will be a revenue share or a cost share, profit share model with the landowner. We're still trying to work that out, what works best for all parties. But ultimately, we won't be spending shareholders' money acquiring land to do this peatland work. The other key stakeholders we're talking to are the off-takers and the funders. Big tech companies in Ireland and data centers are a key source of this. The data center space in Ireland has become quite political in recent times. I think it was recently announced last year in 2023 they consumed 21% of Ireland's grid usage, and so this has increased 400% since 2015. So there's a number of data centers now aren't getting planning permission for future use, and it's become quite a political issue on how it can. How are we going to bring renewables projects on quickly enough to actually help power these data centers? So we're talking to a number of people in that space because we think that a nature-based carbon credit project in Ireland where they can jump in a car, drive 2 or 3 hours up the road to actually see a project that's sequestering carbon from the atmosphere will be critical to their progression towards net zero. So we're working hard to pull all these strings together and start developing the business over the coming months.
Excellent. Well, that's good to hear about the potential expansion of that project. Thanks for that, Jack. So, Aiden, back to you. We're looking at the Cyprus copper project now. How far along are you in the due diligence process of that project? And also, can you perhaps elaborate on what the hydraulic pumping there involves and how likely it is to work as well?
Yeah, sure. The due diligence is progressing. We had some very encouraging results earlier in the summer, which sort of validated the model for very much copper enriched waters in the historic pit. And we could see obviously the blue copper enriched water coming from that, especially in the wet season. And the initial sample results from the sulfate crusts on the surface and the other sample material confirmed that there was indeed copper circulating in the groundwater and also significant copper remaining in the waste and the tailings. So due diligence is progressing. We're working with consultants now compiling a report and planning to meet other stakeholders around the project and in relation to the project. But we have given ourselves a year to move this forward, and that gives us the time to investigate it properly and really research it and move it along to the next steps, which will be a hydraulic pump test, essentially putting in a borehole, getting proper systematic water samples throughout the depth of the backfill pit, and also measuring some of the tailings material itself, and then doing a pump test. And if that's successful, then that would really sort of move it along to the next step, which is to put in a few more drill holes or wells and do some more thorough pump tests. The pumping, essentially, the hydraulic pumping would require a couple of injection wells and then a couple of production wells where you would basically set up a circulation cell within the pit, and that would allow you to extract the copper from the water to a small containerized type of plant, which would leave the site in a much cleaner and better state for other uses such as renewable energy or solar energy.
Okay, that's fascinating. Thank you for the update there. So, gentlemen, before we wrap up, between you, you've already outlined a lot of the upcoming developments that investors and shareholders can look forward to. What else do you expect to deliver in the coming weeks and months? Jack, perhaps to you first of all.
Yeah, I think, Alan, look, it's just over 6 months since we've completed our IPO and AIM. We've achieved a lot in that time. Aiden and the team have done great work up in Ulster, and we've brought in we've signed 2 option agreements on projects that we think we can get towards revenue generation in the near term. But most importantly, I think we've sort of outlined between all the various projects we're working on. There'll be lots of news flow over the next 6 to 9 months in terms of monetizing our existing assets, moving along our Alton carbon credit project and our copper tailings recycling project in Cyprus. And then also, look, we hope to update shareholders on some of the other exciting revenue stage projects and companies we're currently talking to, and hopefully update them on our acquiring one of those businesses in the near future.
Excellent. Aiden, any final thoughts for the upcoming few months?
Well, we are awaiting our results from the drill project, which will be important, and our potential partners will want to see those to continue their technical due diligence. So yeah, in this quarter, I expect we'll have some drill results, probably 2 batches in mid and later of this quarter. And the labs are busy, but we did get the samples in as quickly as we could. And then we will continue our discussions with potential partners for the Pajala projects and also possibly the Saxony licenses. There is strong interest, and we hopefully will be able to monetize those assets as planned and move towards revenue generation in the coming year.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, it's been great speaking with you both once again. We wish you, of course, every continued success in progressing existing projects and, of course, identifying new ones. Aiden Lavelle and Jack Kelly, respectively Chief Executive and Chief Finance Officer at European Green Transition. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.